Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about Dana White's first show on Paramount Plus. There's quite a few things we've learned already from that first show. This is all coming from, so I listened to Dana White's post press conference following Callum Walsh's victory over Carlos Ocampo, and these are some of the main points that he spoke about. First thing first, before I talk about that, actually, I want to talk a little bit about how he wants to, replicate this boxing model in a similar vein to his UFC model. And what I mean by that is the first thing I noticed. So I didn't really watch the fight live. I fell asleep because I'd work in the morning, but I watched it on my way back from the gym, and the first thing that stood out to me straight away was the fighter shorts. Right, there's no sponsors on the fighter shorts, and they're all Zuffa shorts. Obviously, in boxing, the fighters are free to wear whatever shorts that they want to wear. They get them customized, and obviously they've got their sponsors on board who've helped them all through our training camp. So, firstly, there were no sponsors on the fighter shorts, and secondly, there were, um, just Zuffa shorts. Now, a big portion of fighters being able to do boxing full time is through the support of sponsors. Now, obviously, when they're not fighting, they're in training camps. They're still having the money coming in from the sponsors to sort of help them tick on as they look for that next fight day. What is apparent apparent to me straight away is that that's not going to happen in Zuffa. They're going to centralize everything. And what I mean by that is in the UFC, they had an apparel sponsorship with Reebok that finished in 2021, and they now have a long-term exclusive partnership with Venom up until 2029. And that essentially means all fighters, all throughout fight week, fight camp, and upon the actual night of the show, will wear Venom clothing. And that, means that they all look the same, essentially. And I think in the not so, I think there'll be an apparel sort of deal done with a big company whereby they'll supply all of the gear, and it means that they're all look the same. So I guess we're gonna lose that individuality that we so um, that we so have in boxing. I mean, some of the biggest sort of stars have become big because of how they've portrayed themselves in the ring, because of the from what they wear, their individuality seeps through, and people sort of gravitate towards that. The fight I had in my head straight away is Naz, right? He's iconic, those iconic gold shorts to his ring walk and the way he fought. So maybe he will lose that a little bit. Another thing, tickets started at £200, and that might be because the event was held at the Apex Centre, holds 1,100 people, so it kind of created an intimate atmosphere, and obviously supply and demand. There wasn't that many tickets. The demand for them were high enough for tickets to start at £200, which is that going to be a staple of Zuffa boxing going forward? Is it going to be small, intimate, maybe classy? Who knows? But okay, so one of the first points I wanted to address was Dana White said that the fight was held in 13 territories outside the US and not just Paramount. So I guess it did have a lot of international sway. I was reading on Twitter actually that the stream in Ireland and other territories cut out. Essentially, Zuffa Boxing had the show playing on their YouTube channel because that broadcast deal with Paramount, I guess, only covers the US. Outside of that, they're able to watch on the YouTube. However, there was a copyright strike on that, so that's something that needs to be looked at straight away because fans outside the US had issues accessing. They had issues accessing the fight, essentially. So that's a big thing that they're going to need to look at. So he was also asked, are all the fighters signed exclusively to Zuffa Boxing? And he emphasized that it is the UFC model. So he didn't really answer that. He sort of escaped the question. Zuffa, oh, okay. Women boxing will be the same as men's. That's another thing that he was asked about. In MMA, men and women sort of stipulations and rules are the same. 5 minute rounds. That's not the case in boxing. When he was asked that question, Dana White said, "Look, I've not thought about it, but it makes sense to have that." So that's something that we can expect, I guess, going forward. He also said Zuffa boxing is moving faster than anticipated. Now, look, they had a lot of time to come up with this concept. You know, they've got the brightest minds in the industry. Nick Khan, CEO of, TKO, and a big player in the WWE. They've got a lot of smart minds in the sport. And look, there's I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of smart people who've been involved in boxing but don't really fully understand it, and it hasn't led to their success. Now, when I was objectively looking at that press conference that Dana White did, he didn't seem the best prepared, and he didn't seem happy with the event that he put on. He referenced quite a lot that, we're going to talk with the team on Monday. We're gonna talk and put things right. He didn't mention what was right and what the issues they are going to address, but he did say he's going to talk about, which to me, if you infer it, it means that that it's still a work in progress. I mean, it's their first shot, so there's that, and I guess he did say as well it took 25 years to grow the UFC, and it was not going to take as much time. Well, I'd hope it wouldn't take as much time, considering, he sort of built the UFC from the ground up. Now he's got the likes of Turkey and Nick Khan, TKO, to really streamline that move forward. When asked about the number of fighters in the contract with Zuffa, he said anything is possible. So, I think they were originally going to do a stable of 200-300 fighters, and that was going to be a feeder to the big ring season events, right? You'd essentially face off against other fighters, and then you would, make it to the big leagues as such. You'd then have the privileged position to fight for the Ring Magazine title on these big Riyadh season cards, because Turkey owns that, and he also obviously has the ring and all the other stuff. So that's quite interesting. And he was asked a lot about working with the sanctioning bodies, and he reiterated his sort of desire to not want to work with them and to continue with the Zuffa belt and the Ring Magazine belt. Now, he signed the likes of Jai Pattaya, and Jai Pattaya was there, and I think they've got an announcement imminent that he's going to fight in March. But interestingly, Jai Pattaya in the past has spoken about unifying the division. So the fact that they're not going to work with these governing bodies means that you can't do that. So has Jai Pattaya moved the goalpost in terms of what he wants to achieve in his career, or is it simply just a case that Dana White, he's saying he doesn't want to work with them, but in actual fact, he might go on and work with them. Who knows? Only time will tell. Anything else I wanted to talk about? I think actually, yeah, the UFC. There were a couple of fighter bonuses. So I guess a big sort of theme in this whole Zuffa boxing era is the fact that Dana White is going to use bonuses as a way of, I guess, to reward fighters. So maybe pay them a lower guaranteed purse, but then reward them handsomely with fight of the night bonuses, similar like he does with the UFC. The UFC have actually doubled the amount of bonus that they're going to do in, given the fact that they've just signed a deal with Paramount Plus, and that their first UFC 234 show debuts tonight. So I guess we'll see a lot more fighter bonuses in Zuffa boxing, and we've seen the fighter bonuses double in the UFC. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. We'll leave it there. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I forgot to say that. We do have a weekly newsletter as well. Link will be in the description below, but you can also scan the QR code, which should have been at the bottom of the banner at the start of the video. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next one.